Welcome to Summit Speaks, an interview series to highlight conditions and lift up conversations in Monroe County. This series will lead us to the Monroe County Childhood Condition Summit, and it is brought to you today by Youth Services Bureau in Building a Thriving, Compassionate Community. Please feel free to share these interviews on social media using hashtag SummitSpeaks, and follow us online for more information at btccbloomington.org. Today, I am joined by a dear friend, Sacha Thieme, who is joining us from Indiana University. So I'll let you introduce yourself, and then we'll jump into some questions.
Thank you, Nichelle. It's an honor to be here today, and I'm excited to get to talk to you about ways that we can lift students and children. So my role at Indiana University is as the Executive Director of Admissions. So our office is responsible for connecting students with their college journey.
Yes.
And I'm a firm believer that that journey can lift students' lives.
And I know that you actually believe that mission. So why don't you tell us about your why? Why do you do what you do, and how did you even get started?
Sure. So my why, quite simply, is from my own experience that education, specifically college, I completely credit with lifting me out of my situation, taking me to places that it could not have provided. And so when I first got connected with admissions, I realized that I could do that for other students, and specifically students who were underserved and underrepresented in the world of higher education. And so that has been and continues to be my why. It's a great honor and joy to see students thrive in new and exciting ways that some of them didn't even realize they could.
Yeah. So many students get nervous about the college search process, and let alone completing an application. I have the privilege of working with the IU admissions team, so I get to see the inside scoop. But why don't you tell our viewers today, how does IU admissions actually do holistic review? How do they support students in the process?
Sure, and I have the honor of getting to work with you in that and seeing your advocacy, and I really think that's a big part of what creates this holistic experience. So the college search process can be daunting. It can feel overwhelming, and unfortunately, many students see that and believe it's not for them. It's not a process designed for them. And so I know the phrase holistic review, people think it just adds mystery. But when we think about the 1,000,001 experiences that students have in their journey, how do you possibly boil their readiness for college down to a few metrics? And so when we think about holistic review, we really look at everything that they can tell us about their journey and how it has prepared them for college. And so the way that we look at this is from a number of different lenses. A student certainly sends us academic credentials, but they also tell us about their experiences. They tell us about what's important to them. They tell us about what their goals are, and all of that has predictive value regarding their success and preparation. And then we connect that application with real people who review that, and real people who we set as an expectation are advocates for those students. And so what do we say all the time? We are looking for reasons to admit. And what the staff then does in that holistic review is looks at all the evidence and find clues to show that a student is ready. Most of the time, it's a pretty easy match. We can determine that, but sometimes it's not easy, and I think this is where the advocate piece comes in, because we get together in a committee, and if a counselor has questions about a student's application, they call in the colleagues and they say, can you help me find clues? Can you help me find this, this evidence the student's going to be successful? And we continue to look for reasons to admit. And even when we can't, I think that advocacy is there, because we never deny a student. We invite them to continue on their journey through another path. And maybe that is transfer, but we are not going to stop a student from getting their IU degree, right?
Yes.
So I think that that's an important piece as well. And when I see an admissions counselor in that committee review or outside my door passionately advocating for students' access to this, I know that we are working to break down barriers, and I know that we are working to connect students in powerful ways, and that the staff feel empowered to do that and see it as their expectation. So I think that's a way that's one example of how we help connect students through that holistic piece.
Yeah, I love that. And full disclosure for our viewers, I work on the diversity recruitment and outreach team, and Sacha is actually my boss's boss. So this is prime real estate right here. But Sacha, one thing that I heard you mention, and I can actually say that you truly are an advocate for, is admitting and serving underrepresented students. Tell me why. As an admissions leader, you have such a passion for lifting up diverse voices and centering Black and brown people. How did you come to that place? How did you position yourself to actually want to advocate for underrepresented students?
It's an excellent question. I think that, we are in education. We are made to be lifelong learners. And what my environment growing up provided me was insufficient in all of the learning that I needed. But college helped that. Working in this profession has helped that. Continuing to learn and work with individuals has helped that. And when I think about our responsibility to advocate for students, part of that extends to advocating for students who are underserved, who are underrepresented in the world of higher education. And that seems like a pretty obvious opportunity to right some wrongs, be a social justice advocate. I think we are mourning the loss of a crusader in social justice and the rights of others. And I think about what Ruth Bader Ginsburg said, how she wanted to be remembered. And that was that she would use every skill that she had and every ability that she had to support the lives of others, to look at the tears in our society and fix those. That's what we can do. We can do that. Not all of it, but we can do some of it by connecting a student with an experience that can change their situation, change the situation of their family, of their family's future and their entire community. And that seems like a pretty important thing to attempt to do.
Yeah, I love that, because this year's summit theme is what surrounds us, shapes us. And so those examples that you just gave very clearly show that surrounding students with opportunities to access higher education actually shape them in the long run. I love that. So you mentioned the social justice legend. I wouldn't necessarily call you a legend just yet because you're still living, but let's dive a little bit deeper. You're a white woman. You could benefit from privilege all day and never have to speak to supporting underrepresented students. Why, on a personal level, do you choose not to do that? Why do you choose to be such a strong advocate for populations?
I don't think I do benefit if others are hurting. I don't think our world benefits if others are hurting. The research actually shows that if everyone has an opportunity, we all are lifted. Our society is lifted, our economy is lifted. But more than that, I have a lot of people over my lifespan that I have loved and cared for and have seen them hurt. I have team members and students that I work with that I see hurt. And there's reasons for that. And there's things that we can do about that. And that seems like, in the role that I have, we don't like to talk about power. We don't like to talk about ourselves as a gatekeeper. We like to talk about ourselves as kicking open gates and kicking open doors. So, but we have a role, and we have a powerful role to do just that. And then I believe we have a responsibility to do just that.
I love that. And I think I have seen up close and personal how you use that power for good. So when you talked about the application process, you talked about committees and actual people reviewing. Talk to me a little bit, or tell the viewers about CARE, what CARE recommendations are, and even special programming for parents like Level Up.
Absolutely. Well, part of that holistic review is because students come to this process with their whole selves. And some of us bring some stuff with us, right? And we bring families with us. And we know that the the best experience is when a student has a supportive family, whether those are advocates, whether those are parents, whether those are guardians, whoever they bring with them. And the best experience is when everyone feels informed in that process. And so I so appreciate the programs that we are able to create to engage the student early as early and often as possible, because not everybody comes with a tacit knowledge of how this process works. So if we can get to them early, we can work with parents and keep everybody informed. That is a much more confident and positive and successful process. And so you mentioned Level Up. That's the new program this summer for the parents and families of admitted students, not just at the point of admissions, but all through this summer, because that journey continues and emotions run high and questions run high, and you're about to take your student to a totally new experience, and you need to feel good about the people at the other end of that. And so I appreciate what we were able to do to help connect students and parents with resources, with people, with humans who would be on the other end of when they take their student down to school. You mentioned the care, and that we also talk about when a student brings their whole selves. There's a lot that maybe they haven't been able to unpack, or maybe a lot of experiences that they share with us that they don't know where to get help or where to get resources. And so that care experience is a partnership with the Division of Student Affairs to help identify opportunities where we see something in the student's application, and then we can take and connect them with experiences, support, services, resources on our campus to, again, ensure that positive transition. And so it's a lot of our success, I would say all of our success, comes from collaboration. And our connection point isn't just sending a student a piece of paper that says, you've gained every right and privilege to pursue this. It's to help them pursue it. And I think we take that pretty seriously.
Yes. So tell me maybe your favorite admitted student story, the journey, how they got to IU, perhaps even through IU, and what that did for you emotionally.
Absolutely. There's often a student every year that I meet along the way, because if we do our work right, they're so successful they forget about us. They go on, they do great things. There's usually a family or a student I meet, and there's one of the students just graduated, and it was kind of one of my first, the time that I've been back here, kind of the first, and so we met at a Red Carpet Day luncheon, a luncheon that we have for families and students, specifically underrepresented students, and helping them connect with those resources. And we had a great conversation. We hit it off, and we just kept connected, and so had coffees and lunches, and it wasn't easy. That transition is, we've talked about this before, you don't always find your people, you don't always find your space right away, but following her over that journey not only gave me hope for her, but hope in the process. And so she, a long story short, but a successful one, I just talked to her via Zoom. Her senior year ended with COVID. But she changed her major over that time, found a partner over that time, found a path over that time, has started her own business over that time. I mean, that's why we do this. I get to live vicariously through the lives of new students every year.
Yeah.
That's why we do this.
Yeah. Now, you mentioned the big C word, COVID. Talk to me about how COVID has impacted admissions, or did it impact admissions or recruitment at all?
It has. And we try to look for the gifts, the gifts of COVID. I will start there in that the way that we have expanded our services and our ability to reach students is different. And in some ways, we're more accessible.
Right.
We can, meet students at different times in different ways. They don't have to leave their home. They don't have to, try to get to campus to have that experience. So that is good. But we do this because we love working with students. And so I know many of our staff are mourning that opportunity to connect with families one-on-one in person, show them the campus, engage with them. So in some ways it's removed some barriers, in other ways it's created others, in that not everybody has the reliable technology. Not everybody has a quiet space in their home to be able to, complete their application or complete an interview or complete a visit day or anything like that. So that's created some other things that we have to negotiate. High school visits, how we travel, how we connect with students in their high school, in their hometown, how we do programming, that is all different. But I've been really amazed by this group of dedicated professionals who have risen to the challenge and then some. The level of creativity in identifying ways to connect with students and serve students has been amazing.
And this is why I love being a part of this team, because even when COVID happened, we were still committed to the mission and committed to still bringing higher education access to students. So we have a number of people that will watch this interview, no pressure, but many of them come from social service professions, or they're not just a high school counselor. Perhaps they're the court-appointed special advocate, or they're a parent or guardian. What advice can you give to our viewers about helping students continue to engage in the college search process?
Absolutely. I think when I think about the incredible people that are doing this work and advocating for students and have done this with their whole selves and in such personal ways, I want them to know that there are people like us who are on that receiving end or who are on the other end that want to pick up and carry and continue to support the student, that there are humans that want to support the student in the ways that they have done that. And so we say that every high school in the state of Indiana, every state in this country has an admissions representative, and we believe that. We believe that we have placed advocates for access to higher education at Indiana University in those schools. And I want people to know that if they need to reach out, or if they need to connect personally, be part of that connection to a student, to tell them there's a person you could reach out to. It doesn't have to be so scary.
Yeah.
But I would want them to know that we are ready and excited to be that person.
And that is true. We answer lots of phone calls.
We do. But I have had people sit outside my office and advocate for a student. I have had people go well beyond what I would have expected or said that was expected of them to support a student. And I think that's important and that's necessary if we really want to connect a student with their journey.
Yes. So we are in our final moments of our interview and our time together. I want to thank you, Sacha, for being here and doing this with me. Any final words that you'd like to share? Any words of wisdom?
I don't know if I have any wise words, but I think the role that we get to play in the life of a student, and our responsibility to break down barriers, break down gates. I hate that reference, right? Our responsibility is to hack those gates and make this an easier process and a better process and a more equitable process. We need to do that.
So I think about all the ways that IU is committed to serving students, and then it's easy for me to find my why and push for that why when you have amazing leadership like yourself. So thank you for being here. I know you're going to receive that.
Thank you, and thank you for being that person's person and advocate and supporter. That's why we do it.
There it is. That's the Summit Speaks.